Hello, everyone. This is Tadi. Greetings to all of you. You're welcome to this week's Tadi Midweek Panadose, and we are gonna start this moment. We have a very exciting topic to discuss, and we have some guests that will be joining us. Some are already here. Some will be joining us shortly, and so we will be focusing on the issue of mentoring, the interface between mentoring and development. So our topic is developing the Nigerian youth through intentional and strategic mentoring. That is our topic. So as you join, please, as usual, tell us where you're joining from, share the video and like it so that others can see and join. Once again, you're welcome. So I can see a few people have started joining. And please tell us where you're joining from. It helps us. And share the video, invite others, and like it. So once again, our topic is developing the Nigerian youth through intentional and strategic mentoring. So as I mentioned, again, we have guests that will be joining us shortly. And I'm going to introduce them after I've introduced the content, what we'll be talking about. And so I want to start this way. Every successful person you know in history has a mentor. Every successful person, every person that has made a mark in history has a mentor. This is very important for us to know. So I want to start from scripture. If you look at the Bible, mentoring is something, the word is not mentioned in the Bible, but it's runs through the scripture, the theme of mentoring. You see Moses and Joshua. Moses mentored Joshua to take over from him. Elijah mentored Elisha. David mentored his son Solomon to become king. Elisha mentored Elisha to become, a prophet. And in the life of Christ, we see that too. Jesus mentored 12 disciples, and these disciples mentored others, and then it continued up to the present age. Barnabas mentored Paul. We see that in the book of Acts. And Paul the Apostle mentored Timothy, who also become a very important pillar in the Church of Christ. So mentoring is something we see in the scripture. But also outside scripture, we see mentoring in history, secular history. For instance, the great ancient Greek philosopher Socrates mentored Plato, and Plato became very, very influential in terms of the spread of knowledge, which influenced Greece, ancient Greece, and also even Western civilization. Plato also mentored Aristotle. We know this, that Plato mentored Aristotle. So Socrates mentored Plato, and Plato mentored Aristotle. And Aristotle, we all know, has one of the most impact on Western civilization and on the world globally. Aristotle, his philosophy still goes around, like Aristotelian syllogism. We still use it in logic and many other things in science and other areas, other fields. But not only that, Aristotle also mentored Alexander the Great. So if you've ever heard about Alexander the Great and all of the great things that he did, he was taught by Aristotle. So mentoring continues. And so that's why I said every successful person, anyone that has made an impact, whether it is in scripture or in outside Bible history, had a mentor. The person was mentored. Bill Campbell mentored Steve Jobs. We know Steve Jobs, the one time CEO of Apple, who made Apple what it is today. Most of us use Apple products. Steve Jobs was mentored by Bill Campbell. And then Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, is the CEO of Facebook. And so you see how mentoring goes. I remember I read the story when Mark Zuckerberg went to the tomb of Steve Jobs. He mentioned it, that he was his great mentor. And so mentoring is something that creates successful people who make impact in the in history. Another example is that of Howard Buffett, and and David Shaw. They mentored Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon. So you use Amazon, and you know that it's from Jeff Bezos. But you need to know that he was mentored by his father, Howard Buffett, and also his boss, David Shaw. And so mentoring is something that produces great people. Talk about Bob Iger, the chairman of Disney and CEO of Disney. He was mentored by Tom Murphy. And Nelson Mandela was mentored by Walter Sisulu. So of all the great things we know about Nelson Mandela, what he did in South Africa, and in Africa general and in the world, his impact, he was mentored by this person. We have someone today who is a great evangelist who is making an impact in Christianity around the world, Franklin Graham. He was mentored by his father, Billy Graham. We've heard about Billy Graham. He mentored his son, Franklin Graham. And Franklin Graham is mentoring his son, Will Graham. We see that. And all around the world, mention any name of someone who has made an impact. There is someone who mentored that person. Nothing just happens like that. Things don't happen in a vacuum. People mentor other people. So in fact, I'm a testimony. I cannot put myself in the category of the people I mentioned above, but I'm a product of mentoring. So many people, beginning with my own parents, to the present, people have impacted me in different ways. I've been mentored by many people, including one of our guests here, the Reverend Dr. Bitrus Kobongs. He's one of my mentors who is still mentoring me. And so people don't just become something who will make impact. There is somebody behind them, bearing with their weaknesses, encouraging them, praying for them, pushing them, raising the bar for them so that they will become something. So that is the reality that we have. And so I say this again, every successful person in history has a mentor. Everyone that is making an impact in your locality, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your country has a mentor. That is just the truth. So for the discussion today, again, for those of you that are just joining, our topic is developing the Nigerian youth through intentional and strategic mentoring. That is our topic. I'm gonna give our guests a chance to introduce themselves. It's important, they say who they are and what they do before we go into the discussion. And so two of them are here. The other one was here, but she's having some technical problems. Hopefully she'll be back in a minute. And so I want to start with my mentor, as I mentioned, the Reverend Dr. Bitrus Kobongs is here. So I will want you to introduce yourself briefly, who you are and what you do, so that people might know. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for the wonderful description of mentoring. I think it sums up the picture very well. So as we discuss the topic, we definitely will get into some of those examples. But my name is Bitrus Kobongs from Tumu, Akko local government in Gombe State. Currently, I live in Alabama. As you can see, I happen to be in uniform. It's afternoon here. I'm at work. I'm a chaplain in the U.S. Air Force. So that's what I do. My family is here with me. I'm married and we have 4 children. So it's a beautiful privilege I have this afternoon or this evening to share this time with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go over to brother, the engineer ambassador, Ahmed Magem is here with us. Please, could you introduce yourself, sir? We cannot hear you.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Good afternoon to those in the diaspora, especially in North America. Good evening to those in our own part of the world in Nigeria. Yes, as I said, my name is Ahmed Magem. I'm a software engineer, and I also in the area of human development, which is something that I've been doing for most of my life. It's a great pleasure to be here, to be able to share some aspect of mentoring, which has also been a great part of our lives. I'm also very happy to be sharing this space with my own Oga Beatrice Kobongs, who is today my own mentor also in the United States. I'm so glad to have you here, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, for those of you that are just joining, our topic is developing the Nigerian youth through intentional and strategic mentoring. That's our topic. And please share the video, tell us where you're watching from, and write your comments. You can write your comment, you can ask questions, you can disagree with us, and you can agree with us. I always say on this platform that it's okay to disagree with me or with anyone. Just do it respectfully. And we are all learning. Nobody is a high heel. And so write your comment and ask your questions. So I have a thesis, even though I will be asking questions for our guests to respond to. But of course, you all know that I have my own thoughts, what I think about mentoring and development. So this is my thesis for the discussion. Hopefully we'll work with that. But again, you can disagree with the thesis. It's totally fine. We are brainstorming, so that we can grow. My thesis is that one of the major factors that militate against the holistic development of our Nigerian youth is the lack of intentional and strategic mentoring. One of the major factors that works against the development of our young people in Nigeria is the fact that there is a lack of strategic and intentional mentoring. Not that there is no mentoring, but it's often not strategic or intentional. And the solution, I think, is that we need to step up our effort in the area of mentoring. So both the youth and the mentors need to be both intentional and strategic. So this is general idea in my head that I am working with. So we'll continue from here. So we're going to start with the questions. So we just lost Engineer Magem. Hopefully we'll get him back in a minute, and we'll also get Pastor Precious in a minute. I'm gonna ask Dr. Kobongs the first question that I have here, which is like just the basics. We'll start with some kind of definitions briefly, not like strict definition, but loosely what we mean by this word. So we want to start with the word mentoring. So could you please define mentoring? What do you understand? What is your working definition of mentoring? It's like we have Pastor Precious back. Can you hear us?
I'm in the house, but still having some little challenges, brother.
Okay. But we can hear you. So just stay with us.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself? Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, I'm Precious Gambo. I'm a medical personnel and a missionary.
Great. And where are you speaking from?
Okay,
Where
I'm speaking
right
from
now?
Jos.
Okay.
I'm right now in Jos.
Okay, good.
Jos in Nigeria. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so thank you so much. So we are just starting with the first question, and the question is, what is mentoring? And our brother Dr. Kobongs is gonna respond to this. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Yes. Like you said, this will give the basic definition of what we think of mentoring. So for me, when I think of mentoring is simply influence. Influence in any direction of life that you are making on another person. So somebody making an influence on another person, and that can really range from any field, whether it's career, personal life, or education. So that's what mentoring is. If you are influencing another person towards a given goal, that is mentoring, simply.
Thank you so much. So the word influence is big. So mentoring is influencing other people. So thank you so much. Pastor Precious, do you have something to add on this? What is mentoring? What is your understanding of mentoring?
Yeah. Well, in a simple term, I will define mentoring guiding another person to support their personal development. Are you there?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
In case you are hearing me, mentoring is a process of sharing experience, of skills and knowledge to another person that is inexperienced to develop their potentials.
Exactly. Sharing experience that will lead to the development of potentials. Thank you so much. Thank you. So from the two definitions we have already, mentoring has to do with relationship. There must be two people involved or more. And the whole thing is helping the other person to grow by influencing the person and by sharing one's experiences. So mentoring is something that is very important. So thank you for this definition. I actually wanted to ask our brother Magem, who is in the field of development, to define the word development, but we all know the word development. So if any one of you want to say something about development quickly, we'll say that, then we'll move into the next thing. When we say development, what are we talking about?
Well, I would jump in here since I have clarity. Unless if you can hear, I will always try to defer to her because of the connection. So when we have her, go ahead, my sister, and then I will respond to. Oh, see, there's still latency. Okay, yeah, I will go ahead and say development. In my mind, I think development in terms of progress. Development is movement from one level to another level that is better than where you were before. So you are making a development.
Yeah. Yeah, there is change, there is movement from where you are to a different level. So there is progress. So the word progress is another word for development. Thank you so much. Can we hear us, also Precious?
Hello? Okay, a little. Development is all about continuation, growth, enlargement, increase. You know, when we are talking about mentoring, mentoring is all about a continuous process. So when we are talking about development, development is all about progress, increase, continuation in growth and maximization of potential.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. So we are talking about how to help young people in Nigeria to develop through intentional and strategic mentoring. This presupposes that there is an interface between mentoring and development. I want to assume that our audience understand that, so that we don't waste time discussing that. There are other important things I really want us to look at. So the assumption is that for you to make progress in life, which is the word development in our topic, there must be a mentor. There must be someone who is influencing you, someone who is in your life trying to help you progress. So we are working with that assumption. So the question always comes when you're talking about mentoring, that who is to mentor who? When we talk about mentoring, who should mentor who? In other words, we can actually put it this way: what are the different types of mentoring? And again, we are not doing an academic presentation. We are just saying, based on our experiences and what we've observed, who should mentor who when it comes to to mentoring. I want to start with our sister. Could you respond to this, please? Are you with us? I think she's still having latency. So, Dr. Kobams, please, could you respond to that?
Yeah, sure. I can jump in. So again, mentoring is since we've defined it, now you begin to think of how it works out. How does this mentoring idea works? Generally speaking, the idea is in mentoring, the person doing the mentoring, what we call the mentor, has some experience that he or she can pass down to the other person, the mentee. So in that relationship, there's peer one-to-one mentoring from someone who has experience that they want to pass down to the other person. So that's one way to look at it. But that it can also apply in other realms of life. So we could say there's a peer mentoring where people are friends or colleagues, age mates, and you can actually mentor each other. And that can go from both persons involved in the relationship. It could be a group mentoring where one person, same idea that this person is elevated in one way or another, whether it's a teacher or some leader in the community, or whoever that person is has some experience to pass down to a group of people. So then we call that group mentoring. There could be mentoring can take place online, like what you are doing right now. You are actually mentoring many people that some of them you don't even know because they are all over the place. So that becomes, you are being intentional in providing that mentoring. So these are different ways that we could do mentoring. Could do even reverse mentoring. You describe me as your mentor, but in some things you mentor me and I can learn from you. So they call that reverse mentoring, but that's still a mentoring that takes place. So those are some areas I would like to mention in terms of mentoring.
Thank you so much. Once again, for those of you who are just joining, our topic is developing the Nigerian youth through intentional and strategic mentoring. And we are here with our guest, the Reverend Dr. Beatrice Kobams, Pastor Precious Gambo, and also Engineer Ahmed Magem. We just lost Engineer Ahmed Magem. Hopefully, he will be back in a minute or so. We will be going into I don't want to say the real issue. So the most important thing that I want us to look at, which is the how or the steps that we should take in order to be intentional and strategic about mentoring for development, holistic development. So what we are discussing here is broader than just talking about either spiritual mentoring or career mentoring or whatever. We are talking about mentoring in every aspect. We can develop people spiritually, we can develop them socioeconomically, we can develop them professionally, and in different ways. So whatever aspect. So one of the key things in this topic is the fact that we want mentoring to be intentional. We want mentoring to be strategic. Intentional mean that someone really sit down and say, I really want to develop this person or that person. And then strategy means that you put in place some of the things that you would do in order to develop that person. So there is intentionality and there is strategy. Mm-hmm. And so I will want our guests to each give us at least 2 ways we can be intentional about mentoring, especially young people in our context in Nigeria. Let me see if our sister, Pastor Precious, is here with us. Can you hear us? Hello, can you hear us, please? Okay, we'll come back to her. Dr. Kobams, please, can you give us at least 2 ways or 2 steps one can use to be intentional about developing specifically young people in Nigeria based on our understanding of the context?
Okay. Oh, sure. Before I do that, if you don't mind, allow me a moment here to explain something that I just that I think is relevant here.
Sure.
The population of Nigeria, since that is our target audience, we are passionate and interested on issues to do with Nigeria. The population of Nigeria, when we talk of the age of Nigeria, here is, I don't know if you are aware, but I found out that in Nigeria, give me 1 second here, let me pull up my information. The population of Nigeria ages 0 to 14 is 43% of the population of Nigeria. That's what we call children. 43% of Nigerians are the range of 0 to 14 years old. The next group, 15 to 24, is 19% of Nigeria's population. All right, so if you are following what I'm saying, the next group is 25 to 54, and that is 31% of Nigeria.
Wow.
The next group is 55 to 64, and that is only 4% of Nigeria. And then 65 and above is only 3%.
Wow.
So this is very important as we talk about the youth of Nigeria. The population between 0 to 24 is 19 plus 43. That's 62% of Nigeria. That is really amazing to see how young the country is. So when you talk about 2 ways that I can share to be intentional about mentoring in Nigeria, number 1, I will begin by saying, now that we know what we are talking about in terms of what mentorship is, I would encourage us, all Nigerians, especially the young people that we are targeting, to know what mentoring is. Because in my mind, mentoring relationship should begin with the person, the mentee.
Yeah.
You need to identify somebody that can be your mentor and approach that person and say, I want you to mentor me. Because if it's not coming from you, then the mentor is only going to impose things on you and maybe give things to you that you don't need. And that's the waste of their time. You as a person will have to recognize the need to have a mentor. And our host, started by describing different kinds of mentors. Some of us are blessed to have parents that we'll call our mentors right from the home, but some people don't have that. And so I'll give you the reason why I'm emphasizing the need for you as a mentee to find a mentor is because, so my dad was my mentor. I learned a lot from him. But once I left the home environment to go to school, my dad didn't speak English. He wasn't educated. So he would have no way to help me on matters of education. The desires that I have in my life, he has given me the foundation that is most important, which is moral foundation. But the rest of it, my dad couldn't help because I knew more than he did. So I had to now be intentional in finding a leader that I would say, oh, this person can be my mentor. And sometimes, by the way, so that one way, sometimes the person that is your mentor may not have a formal relationship, that mentoring relationship with you. You are the one that have identified this person and said, I can learn 1 or 2 things from this person. And I am going to have this person as my role model is another term that we use to describe a mentor. So that's one, number 1. Intentionality, now I'll put the second point to the mentor. If you are in position, you see in the society young people with potential, right? You see some potential. Please reach out. Make that note on your own to reach out to this person. You may not have that connection with them, but you could identify another person that you could say, I really want you to work on that young person. I have seen one or two skills in them that that I would like to see them develop. And sometimes, one thing we didn't mention in mentoring is coaching is also mentoring. And now the term coaching, you can see it is specific. It's targeting a specific area in the life of that person. So it could be education, it could be skills in sports, maybe an athlete that you want to target and say, we need to find people to help this young man or young woman develop this skill because they could go to a certain level. We can develop them. So these two areas in my mind, I want to see the mentee identifying a mentor because they have seen something in them, and the mentor seeing somebody and saying, let's try to find a way to help this person. And that is being intentional, by the way, right? Because you are targeting specific skills. So I will stop here to give a chance to the others since I see engineer is around.
Okay, thank you so much. This is really, really important, especially to our audience. And a lot of our audience are actually young people. So the key thing you mentioned is that you need to identify mentors. You cannot sit down and wait for someone to always come around and say, I want to mentor you. Identify people you think can mentor you. That is very important. And reach out to them and tell them you want to be mentored. And then also mentors to reach out to other young people that they think they want to mentor. So thank you so much. I can see Engineer Magem is here. Can we hear us, please? Yeah, we just lost him again.
Challenge.
Yeah, there have been some technical challenge. We're going to continue. One thing I want to add when it comes to being intentional is the fact that you, after identifying, Dr. Commons talked about identifying a mentor or a mentee, and also reaching out, to talk to them. And part of it is also, before you do that, you must have developed yourself. So you should, for those who want to be mentors, for those who want to mentor other people, you cannot give what you don't have. So you first of all have to develop yourself, which means you've allowed yourself to be mentored. Great mentors and mentees. That is the truth. Great mentors and mentees. You cannot influence and touch other people's life if there are no other good people who are influencing you and touching your own lives. And that is why the cycle of friends that we keep matters a lot. The people who are influential around us that we allow to influence us matter a lot. Who are you allowing to influence you? And Otto once said that the closest 5 people in your life, you become like them in the next 5 years. You become in the next 5 years, you will become like the closest 5 people in your life. Whether they are ahead of you or you are ahead of them in life, whatever, so long as you stay close to them all the time, they have a way of influencing you. And so for you to become a mentor, to be intentional about mentoring, you have to be intentional about mentoring yourself, having others mentor you before you talk about mentoring other people. That is very, very important. And so this mentoring is connected to development. We mentor people so that they become better. That is the whole point of mentoring. As Dr. Commons defined the word development earlier, it has to do with process, moving from one point to another, from A to B. And it should be getting better. That is the whole thing about development. So for our young people, the goal is to see that they become better from where they are, whether it is in their spiritual life or it is in their career or in their socio-economic life. We want to see them become better people. And we just have our sister back. Let me see if she has something to say. Can you hear us? Pastor Precious.
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Okay. What do you
Very
have?
sorry for the
No, it's okay.
connection.
That's fine. Yeah. Please, do you have something to say about what steps we should take to be intentional and strategic about mentoring? Please, do you have something to
Still
say
not good.
about what steps strategic about mentoring?
Yes, one of the strategies about mentoring, number one, is that in mentorship, one need to have a clear definition of the purpose of the mentorship. Then number two, let there be clear communication between the mentor and the mentee. Let there be goal setting. What do we want to achieve at the end of this mentorship? And then in the strategy, both the mentor and the mentee need to be deliberate in mentorship. By so doing, and then another strategy is that both the mentor, because it's a team of the two people. Mentorship is all about relationship. Mentor and the mentee must sacrifice time, especially in the aspect of the mentor, sacrifice time, sacrifice to be patient, be ready. What I mean by dependable, that is the mentee so that the mentee can always fall back to you whenever he has any challenge or she have any challenge. You just have to be available and as a mentor. So I think just to mention few among.
Okay, thank you so much for that contribution, which include intentionality and also the different strategies that can be used. We're really grateful for that contribution. Um, I want to
Yeah.
move. Yeah, I want to move into some of the obstacles that we face in the area of mentoring. Uh, I want to move. So we want to look at obstacles that we face in mentoring, especially mentoring young people, mentoring the youth. Um, there are some things that I have here, but I will request my mentor here, Dr. Kobongs, if you have something you can add to this. Because of time, I will list some things that I have here that I observe as some of the obstacles, and also I've interviewed some people who are interested in mentoring young people, but these are like some of the obstacles that they face. And one is the fact that they find the young people being unfaithful in small things. When they start mentoring, they just discover the person is very unfaithful in they try them, they're really unfaithful, and that really affects the whole mentoring relationship. Two is complacency. There are people who told me that some of our young people in Nigeria, they are complacent, like they feel they have arrived. They don't have any drive to move forward. So that is another thing. Another thing is entitlement mentality. You start mentoring a young person, and then the person thinks that is entitled to whatever you are doing to him or to her, especially if it involves helping them. So that can ruin the relationship. Another thing is what I call shortcutism. People have this problem of impatience. They want to become like you overnight. They want things to just happen. So they don't seem to be patient to go through the process and become something. So these are some of the obstacles. So what I would request you to do is to either talk on any one of these, expand on any one of these, or mention another obstacle that you think affects a mentor and mentee relationship.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I can see back to where we were talking earlier. What you described there really boils down to the mentee himself or herself. I will emphasize that the mentee is really the person that determines the nature of the relationship. And so you have to be humble enough to tell yourself, what is it that I want? Why do I think this person has it? And how can I get it from this person in this relationship? You have to be the one that is trying to get to that goal. The mentor, the mentor is a person. I mean, it's not their full-time job. They are just trying to share with you life experiences. And so sometimes it is tempting to think, oh, if I go to so and so, and I tell them this is what I want, then they will just work it out for me. It does, that says you don't really know what you want. In fact, in many cases, the mentor is serving like a coach to you. And that's why coaching is part of it. They will tell you how to get to a place, but the skill is within you, the player. If we use the analogy of a coach and a player, the coach is not in the field. The coach is actually standing on the side, and you are the one in the field. You are the one that know what you need to do to go and score that goal. So the coach helps you, guide you through that process. So it is important. And to me, if the player is not teachable, does not have the right attitude, why would you waste your time as a coach or as a mentor to invest in this person? Go to another player, find another player will find you, and you will invest in them. But again, you do your part in that relationship and move on quickly and let them be. So that would be my suggestion, because we are talking about what did we say? The population of young people in Nigeria. We have a ton that we can actually utilize in that relationship.
Okay, thank you very much. So the emphasis here is that the young people or the young person who is being mentored need to really be serious about it and think about the whole mentorship relationship, because as Dr. Kobongs mentioned, you cannot just impose yourself or your influence on another person. The person has to be willing, and that is why when issues like unfaithfulness comes in, then it can ruin the relationship. So if someone is mentoring you, you really need to work hard to show yourself as someone who is faithful, and also you have to be willing to develop. So give me a second here. Yeah, so we have Pastor Precious back here. Do you have anything to add with regards to obstacles to mentoring relationship?
Oh, now she's muted.
Can we hear her?
There you
go. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she's still having some technical problems.
She's having back and forth with the technology. Before you move on, Reverend, question about how the future of the comments. when I wanted to say something, I don't know if it's in the private chat. I was trying to put something in writing for those who are watching.
Mhm.
Can you see it? I don't know how we can transfer it to.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
see it. From who? There are many comments.
No, I think so. Mine is in the private chat. The comment is not giving me a feature to type on my end. So if you see what I put there, if you are able to transfer it, that's fine. On my computer, I see two options: private chat and comments.
Yeah.
The comments, I can only read what people say. I'm unable to type or answer or respond.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. If you can, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, are you asking me to respond to it?
No, if you can put it for others to see it, or can people see it?
No, they cannot see it if it is private.
So it says the comment feature is limited, or it's not available on my end here.
Yeah. So, but there are different things that I see you wrote here. Which one are you referring to?
So I started with. Okay, actually, why don't I go ahead and add, if you don't mind?
Can you read it?
Pastor Precious said something when she was mentioning specific things as far as terms in that relationship. So I wanted to give something that is easy to remember using the SMART goals.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, that's what I have here. Basically, the SMART goals is that you need to remember, if you are sitting down with a mentor in that or mentee in that relationship, to be sure that the goals that you set for this relationship is specific. Okay, specific enough to say this is the area that you are targeting for mentorship. Because again, we talk about development, we talk about different settings in Nigeria for our young people. What is the specific goal for this relationship? Number two, it has to be measurable. Can you measure how much, what point will you say this person is actually achieving what we want to achieve in this relationship? That will help you to judge the nature of the relationship and the progress you are making. Is it achievable? The goal that this person has set for themselves, is this achievable? If let's say it's an educational goal and they want to have a medical degree, but they went to an art school, so they don't have any backgrounds in sciences from high school, is that really an achievable goal, no matter how noble it is? So you need to be able to say this goal is achievable or it's not. And then, is it relevant? That's the R in SMART. How relevant is this goal? Maybe this person needs to think of something else that would be helpful to the community where they are from. So is it relevant to you both? And then the last one, timely. Can you time it? Can you say, okay, after this many years, if it is education, there has to be a point when you graduate, but ASU strike aside, but can you say time this goal that you have? So that's what I wanted to share there.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I saw it. I'm gonna post it for our audience to see. So it's talking about these goals and how they should apply in our lives. So so for our viewers, I've just posted it.
Yeah, I don't have that feature.
So here is what we are talking about: setting SMART goals. When you enter a mentor relationship, you should note the following: goal must be specific, what you intend to achieve. They must be measurable, and then and the other ones, they're all mentioned there. So that is the emphasis. Relevant and then timely. When can you say you have reached the desired goal? So that is the emphasis there. I can see two of our guests are back here. So let's see if they are able to talk here. Can any one of you hear us? Just posted it. Okay, okay, thank you so much. So is what we're talking about.
Yeah, the connection is not good, so you can hear the echo.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. She's still having some technical problems. So here, I want to talk on one more thing. Can you hear us, Engineer Magem? Can you hear us? Yeah, you cannot hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost him again. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to talk about this issue of shortcutism. That is shortcut, especially for our young people.
Yep.
Um, the ancient Greeks philosopher Socrates, which I made mention of earlier, was mentor and teacher of Alexander the Great. And one morning, when they sat down and he was gonna start the normal classes with Alexander the Great, he made this powerful statement, which I'm gonna quote. He says, "There is no royal path to education. There is no royal path to learning," which means that you are a child of a king, but there is no way I can teach you differently to become
Wow. That's a
well
good one.
educated than other people just because you are a child of a king. You have to
Yeah.
learn where every other person learns. My encouragement to our young people is that there is no royal path to success, to achievement, to impact. Whatever you want to do in this life, there is no shortcut to it. You have to follow the natural process. Part of our problem is even the church. And when I say the church, I'm not saying every single church, but there are some cycles in the church today that try to tell our young people that you can all of a sudden become something. You can all of a sudden become spiritually a giant, or become financially successful, or become academically, successful, or in your career. That all of a sudden, either through some kind of prayer, fasting, or some kind of a man of God blesses you. You just need to go to this crusade, and the man of God will bless you, and everything will change all of a sudden. That is a
Wow.
lie. That is a lie. The pastor himself, he didn't become what he is just overnight. So if somebody tells you that he's going to pray for you and that is your breakthrough, people talk about breakthrough, especially in Nigeria, that I'm going to pray for you, that this crusade is a breakthrough. If you come, everything about it is going to change. Is a lie. There is nothing like that in real life. It's just as bad as people who tell you that you should give them 100,000 and they're going to do something, it's going to become 200,000. That person, if he has that ability, he will not talk to you. He will do it for himself and for other people. There is no shortcut when it comes to success in life.
Yeah.
Every successful person you see in life, whether it is spiritual success, so by that we just mean somebody who has developed himself or herself to become influential in society. So you don't have to be some great name. We are just talking about someone who is making impact. Or whether it is in education or in wealth creation, in becoming popular or whatever, nobody achieves it overnight. It doesn't happen. Even if you inherit wealth from your parents, they just die today and tomorrow you become a millionaire. Yes, but it takes time for you to earn that, because you may lose that in the next 2 years. You really need to work hard to make sure that that becomes your possession. And so my emphasis to our young people is that there is no royal path to success. There is no shortcut to success. You need mentors. You need somebody in your life. And as our guest, Dr. Commons mentioned, you need to reach out to mentors. I've talked to some young people and they keep saying, well, most people, they don't care about us. They're too far away. We chat them, they don't respond. We call them, they don't respond. All kinds of complaints. Part of the problem is that sometimes our young people will look at somebody up there who has achieved a lot in his life, and then they want that person to mentor them. It doesn't work that way. If the gap between you is too far, you have to start with something small. start mentoring the people around you and allow the people close to you to mentor you. One of my experiences is that people who mentor you at your level, they have connection with other people at different levels, and they recommend. They recommend. They talk. The people talk to each other. In fact, people are more interconnected than you think. I have experienced this in my life. In fact, the first time I landed in the US, there were people that I knew, but I didn't know that they know me. But they knew me because somebody talked to them about me. So you cannot just wake up one day and see somebody maybe who is a professor in the university or a pastor who has a big influence. He has membership of maybe 10,000 and you want him to mentor you. He doesn't know you. Allow people who are lower to mentor you. Those people, they are the ones that will tell other people, okay, there is this young man. Then your name will begin to spread. So part of the problem is that we just want to, in fact, I think I may not be wrong to say that some young people, it's not even mentoring we are concerned about. It's just that we want to be identified. We want to connect with big people, which is not mentoring. Knowing big people is not mentoring. Part of the problem is the way politics works in Nigeria. People want to be connected with big politicians. Just because you have a phone number of a big politician and he calls you, it doesn't mean that he's your mentor. He's looking for your vote and your influence in the area. That is all. The same thing with people in the academia, rich people, successful people. Don't look. The Bible says in Romans 12, be willing to identify with people of lower level. So just be who you are at the level you are. Make impact there. That impact is what will propel you or push you to higher levels. And again, the goal of mentoring is not that you become some big person or some big name or celebrity. That is not the goal of mentoring. That is why in what I read earlier on, you have to define the goal. What do you really want to achieve in the mentoring relationship? So that is very, very important for young people to know. It's a process. Every growth process, every growth process takes time. Whether it is plant or it is a child that is born, nothing happens overnight. Please, I want to emphasize this. There is nothing that happens overnight. It takes time. So let me see if we have any comment or questions here. Janet Madixon says, I think you're talking about SMART. Okay, yeah, we already talked about that. Sustainable, measurable, accountable, realistic, and time-bound. Yes, we talked about that. Yeah, same. Thank you so much for that. So let me see if you have other comments or questions. Peter Haruna says the mentee here. The mentee needs to really understand the significance of mentorship in his or her life as well. That is true. Dr. Kobans mentioned this several times. It boils down to the mentee. If the mentee is not willing and doesn't understand why he needs the mentoring, then everything will fall apart. Thank you so much for your comment, Peter Haruna. Reverend Sunday Wanzam here, my friend, he says, one of the problem is that the mentees don't open up for the mentors to have them in check. Yeah, that's the problem. If you are trying to hide so many things, then it's difficult to mentor you. When it comes to mentoring, there must always be vulnerability, which means you open up to people to know who you really are. Because if you are covered, then we don't know who you really are, and it becomes very much difficult.
Can I say something quickly while you look at other comments? On what you said there, I will want to add that in that case, as a mentor, if you are really somebody willing to give up your time or energy or resources to developing our young people, just go and do what's the term I could use here? Go and put it out in the market. Do a general advertisement of opportunity that you think you may have, because some of them may not know or may not have seen that. And then out of that, start from there, get the person that you target. The person will come. If they come, great. And you'll find the right person that will come there. And keep in mind that Reverend mentioned earlier, Jesus mentored 12 disciples. One of them didn't make it, right? Didn't succeed, didn't turn out to be a good person. But Jesus invested in him as well. So not everybody that you mentor will turn out to be a success story, but some that are willing, you see them like Peter among the disciples. He was very vulnerable and open, but he became a leader among the disciples as a result. So I wanted to add that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we have another comment from one of our guests. She said mentoring is the fastest route to rise. I just copied this from a private chat from her. So which is true, even though we're not looking for speed, but this is a paradoxical statement actually.
Yeah.
People just want to rise, very fast, and they think they don't need mentoring. They don't want to go through the process. What she's saying here is that actually going through the process slowly is what will make you to rise, faster. That's what she's saying. My brother here, my big bros, Mr. Kyle Kana says, really somebody must have a mentor for you to become something in life. You can't succeed in anything without someone teaching, guiding, assessing, rating, measuring your levels of understanding in life before you become who you are. That is true. Thank you so much. This is absolutely true. We need mentoring in order to grow. We are gonna round up here. I'm gonna give the opportunity for like final words, whatever you have to say. Let me try Engineer Magin once more if he's able to say anything. Can you hear us, Engineer?
Wow.
Hello, Engineer. Can you hear us? Okay, not really. So go ahead, sir. Can you give us your closing words? What advice do you have for our young people and also for those who are supposed to mentor the young people?
Yeah. Yes. So please, people are different. My suggestion, recommendation, advice, counsel to all of those that can hear or watch this video is, please be aware of your surroundings. Look in your neighborhood, whether it's from within the family or the neighborhood or the town. What do you see? There are some people you may have tried with some. Don't give up. But what do you see? If the young ones, again, I look at the population of Nigeria, is young. So all that potential is there. If each of us were to tell you our backgrounds, the challenges we went through, right where you are, we may have grown up worse than you are, actually, than some of you. So look around, because that one person you end up mentoring, you're going to change their life. You're going to help the society as a result of that one change that you made. It may not turn out to be a governor or a president or a senator in the country, but that quality of life that you have improved as a result of mentoring makes a difference. So let's do it. Let's try to mentor somebody. I would like to hear you say that you have someone you are mentoring, and you should be able to say that you have a mentor. If you cannot answer to either of those, please recheck the process for yourself and say, who do I have that I can say I'm mentoring, and who is my mentor? If you don't have one, find one. Either way, either mentor or mentee, find one. And you even begin with one, and then you realize that there's actually a satisfaction in that process. And then the more you do with one, the next day you realize you can do with more than one person. So that would be my challenge. We are talking about intentionality and strategy. So be intentional in saying, I want to mentor so and so for this specific reason. Something you have seen in them. The fact that they exist, they have a purpose. So you can mentor them to where they can do well in whatever area of life. And then the strategy is what we describe in the SMART goal. get that strategy and say, okay, this is how I work with this person. Sometimes they may not even see it. They don't understand they may be too young. But believe me, that investment you are making in them, they will see it. As they grow, they will come back to you on and on. So again, thank you for the opportunity to share our thoughts. We have mentors. We will list names if we were to tell you our mentors. And some of them, they have no idea how much, they mean to us in terms of what they have done. So that's why we are concerned about sharing this passion with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One of our guests just posted this. Please consider the sustainable approach to this topic among our young men and young women also in Billiri. From experience, it is a missing ingredient in developing the potential of our youth. Sustainability is key, of course, which means as we mentor young people, mentoring is not a project, it is a process. We shouldn't approach mentoring as a project. Sometimes people do that. And as we close, one of the words I always hear our young people in Nigeria say is that as soon as someone gives them money, they start calling the person my mentor. So mentoring is not about money. Mentoring is not about material things. This thought just came to me. It's not about money. It's about developing you to become a better person. We start with your spiritual life, which is the foundation, and then every other area of life. And it's a process, as we've mentioned. It should be sustained. It's not something you do and then you leave. No. With this, we want to thank our guest, the Reverend Dr. Bitrus Kobongs. Thank you so much for your insights and your contributions. Those are really, really helpful. And our two other guests, even though they were not able to contribute much because of technical problems, we were grateful for their efforts. Thank you, Pastor Precious Gambo, for your comment, and some of them you even posted here. And thank you also, Engineer Ahmed Magem. We are really grateful for everything. We hope that next time when we try this, you will have a better network so we can flow smoothly. So thank you so much. And for all our viewers, our encouragement is that have a mentor and have a mentee. Have a mentor and have a mentee. Mentor somebody and make sure that you have someone who is mentoring you. And you don't have to have just one mentor. Actually, there is no rule that say I have many mentors. It depends. It all depends on where you are in your life. Sometimes you have someone who is helping you with a particular thing, and after sometimes you have another person adding another person based on environment where you are and what you are doing. You can even have a dead mentor. You read books about people, they can be your mentor. So you can have a mentor who lived 2,000 years ago, like Jesus is my mentor. You can have the story of someone or someone who lived 20 years ago, but is dead now. So mentoring can happen in different settings. So we encourage people to consider that. So don't say this is my only one mentor. No, please mentor so many people and have many people mentoring you. That will help. Once again, thank you. If you are watching this after the live video, please share your comment with us, and we can learn from you and ask your question too. We try to come back and answer some questions. So once again, thank you for joining today. We pray that you have a blessed time. See you next week on another episode. Have a blessed day. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye, guys.